Holland K2500 here. All right, so here I'm replacing the headlight motors on a 1988 Pontiac Firebird. So they quit. They were always kind of intermittently. Sometimes they'd come up, sometimes it wouldn't go down. Sometimes you could get out and kind of, like push it by hand and make them go, and then eventually they both just quit working altogether. So a couple things before you go ahead and purchase new motors. I would check one thing. Get in there, and as you can see right here, there's a little basically a cam arm that's going to rotate to move the headlight up and down, and that's going to fit onto there. So make sure that that little arm's not worn out, or if that flange nut backed off, there's a potential that that piece of the arm right there could have come off, and then basically your motor's just spinning and not lifting it up or down. So double check that, make sure it's not an easy fix. So assuming that that's not the case and that nut and everything is still fully seated on there, it's probably going to be your motor. So if you can take your headlight and just push it up and down by hand, and you're seeing the shaft, it's kind of hard to see with the light there. But if you can just move this up and down by hand by force, and you're able to, and that shaft's moving with it, that means you're just moving that. This is a worm gear drive. So this should not be able to rotate without this electric motor spinning. So if this is able to spin by force, that means that the little gears in here are probably worn out or destroyed. So that's why your motors, or why your headlights are just falling down or not going up or whatever the case. So it's a little bit harder to get to. So this one's basically complete. This one is also complete, but I got to put everything back on. So I'll show you how I did it. So first, to be able to access these motors, I took off this plate. It was just a bunch of, mainly a bunch of 10 millimeter screws here. Popped them off all around, as you can see, and then shimmied this metal plate out. Once that gets out, you get pretty good access to the motor. The motor is just held on by, again, 10 millimeter, 3 bolts there, one short, and then the other 2 are long. It's pretty intuitive once you see them. After that, take off this plastic piece here. So again, do whatever you can do to get the headlight up, to be able to access this, to take it off. So once you have this up, you can pop the motor off or whatever you need to do to be able to get this up by hand. You get it up on this side. It's 2 star bits. And that star bit, let me check the size of it for you. I'll get you the size in a minute for that. And then on this side, it's just a flathead. It was like that on both of my headlights, so I assume it's like that from the factory. Not really sure why. Oh, here it is. All right, T15. There's a T15 star bit there. This one I still left it off. So you'll take that plastic piece off. And by taking this, it just kind of shimmies out of there after you get those 4 screws off. Once you do that, you'll be able to kind of shimmy your hand back in there with a 10 millimeter wrench, or a small ratchet and a 10 millimeter short socket, and you'll get to that flange nut in there and take that off. Once you take that off, this motor will be able to come out. All right, so for the next part, how do I line that up and everything? How do I get it dialed in to like where it needs to be? So it's actually not too hard. This motor with the turning the headlight switch on or off, this motor either it'll spin one direction or the other, and it's going to keep spinning until it either hits some resistance and then it stops, or and like not very, it doesn't take much resistance, or if it just bottoms out on the worm gear here. So with this design here, it's only going to be able to that shaft is only going to be able to spin so far before it stops in either direction. And if you didn't know, if your electric motors or anything ever go out, you can pop your hood and you come out, and that's what these little knobs are for. And you can use them to manually adjust your headlights up or down. So I would recommend you can go ahead and just bolt up the motor. You can leave it a little loose if you want to, but just go ahead and bolt it up with all 3 bolts. And then you can manually move the headlight up and down, getting this little piece fully seated on the shaft there. And then you just kind of watch it. I recommend a headlamp. And so to get those two pieces lined up to slide onto each other, that's where you can use this to manually move the shaft, clockwise or counterclockwise on the motor until it lines up with the slot so that you can push this on. Then I would go ahead, whatever position you had it in, then go ahead and top it out so the headlight's all the way up. This plastic piece will be out of the way. Reach in there, get that flange nut nice and tight to hold it on the shaft. Now, what we want to do, I don't want to plug it in yet because the headlights are off and the headlight's up. So if I plug it in now, when I turn my headlight on, it's going to try to force the motor in the wrong direction. So I'm going to leave this unplugged. This headlight's already hooked up, so it's fine. So I'll put them up. The headlight's working good now. Both of them quit working altogether. So again, the switch is in the up position. So next time I push the switch, it'll go down, which will turn the motor in the correct direction. This is up, and it'll close the motor. And again, I got this where I needed it to be. I spun this so it's fully topped out here. Now, if I didn't say that, I bought 2 new motors. They're not too hard to find. They weren't too expensive. Here's the old motor. Like I said, they both went bad. I did check them. Both of these would just spin, and internally they're messed up. All right, plugged in. Let's go see how the headlights work. Great. They have not worked that well in a while. So now it looks like they're pretty synced up. They're both working good. So yeah, like I said, not too hard of a job, but as you come out here, if you've never done it before, you might not know the best way to access those. I was looking around at different options, but yeah, that's the best way. This thing's not too hard to take off. Just use an impact if you want to go a little faster. Take off all those 10 millimeters. I disconnected the hood latch. I don't think you need to. You can leave it attached to that. That's unnecessary. And then here's where I was talking about where I haven't put the plastic piece back on the left headlight yet. So I can get my hand down there. It's a little tight, but you can get in there, put that flange nut on, get a ratchet in there, tighten it down. All right. Hope this helps somebody out here. Again, pretty much everything on here was 10 millimeter bolts. 10 millimeter bolts. flathead for those outside screws for this plastic piece, or excuse me, for the inside. And then the outside is that T15 star bit or Torx bit. All right, Holland K2500 out.